Welcome back, everybody. This is going to be a little training exercise on the CLS1 script by Lucike. Lucike has developed Commodity Logistics Software as two variants, but I thought it best just to split them up because they are completely different with each other. So on the one hand, we have CLS1 and on the other CLS2. CLS1 works completely differently than CLS2. CLS1 is just making up its own mind where to go based on the settings you give it, while CLS2 is completely scripted by you. It will just work like a robot. So what is CLS1? Well, CLS1 is basically how you manage your factories between them. You can connect your factories like that in the most simple way, at least for me, because CLS1 takes care of your product lines based on who builds them and who needs them. You just tell it, these guys make that thing, these guys need that thing. And then it figures out on its own how to move on with meeting every requirement. First of all, here's the overview. This is basically everything you might want to have about CLS1. You have the ranks, you have how many wares they can fade around, by how many suppliers to how many consumers, what they're paid at, what their rank benefits are. So a courier would be able to deliver to EQ, a supplier will upgrade his ship and also deliver to a TL, a cargo messenger can even fly a TL, and only a cargo messenger and above can do that. The forwarding agent listens to commercial radio so that he doesn't go where enemies are if somebody of the pilot union has met an enemy. And remember, pilot union is basically CAG, EST, CLSs, anything. If they see an enemy, then they will know about it and not go to that sector because it has enemies in it. And finally, the logistician, who basically repairs his own ship in a shipyard if that ship gets damaged by enemy attacks. Jump drives are usable by cargo messenger and above. And if you supply your ship with Flight Command Software MK1, then the supplier can buy drones and the cargo messenger can enter unsafe sectors if he has a jump drive. Then with Flight Command Software MK2, your supplier and above can buy mosquitoes and also use transport devices to deliver to a TL class ship. That is important. Not many craft can land in a TL because, as you see below on the ships, you can have a CLS1 be run on M3, M4, M5, M8, TM, TS, TP or TL, or even M6. Some of those can land on TLs, others cannot. For example, TSs, they cannot land on TLs. So what? How can a TS work with a TL? By having a transport device. But you also need a supplier to do that, a supplier level CLS1. Once you give him a transport device, then you can tell that supplier or above to go and deliver those ore or missiles or weapons to a TL. The TL must also be stopped. If you are delivering to a TL with a transport device, then the TL needs to be stationary. If you do not provide a transport device, then you can still make delivery to a TL, provided that the TL is landed on a station that can land TLs. Then your CLS1 will just go and land at the same factory or station and make the delivery like that without the need for a transport device, which is also good to know. Finally, you can also, of course, use docking computers right from the start, right from apprentice level. Docking computers make it so that your ship doesn't have to fly the entire distance to dock. The docking computer range is based on the size of the approaching station. What this means is that you do not have to witness your traders or your CLS1s or anybody on the Lucike scripts for that matter to undergo the docking procedure of approaching, slowing down, turning around and going slowly up the lights. No. With docking computer, it just approaches within docking range and then instantly transports as if being teleported and is now docked with a station. That makes them very, very fast. So get docking computers. CLS requires navigation command software MK1 and commodity logistics software of the same variety you want to make. since we are talking about CLS1, that means Commodity Logistics Software MK1. That's all your ship needs. As long as it has navigation and CLS MK1, then your ship can instantly run CLS. You will not have jump drive, no fight command, no transport device, no docking computer. It will just do its thing. And that becomes helpful if you want to train them. If you want to train them, just get any ship. The cheaper the better. That's why we go for M5s, not because they're fast, but because they are dirt cheap. So we buy an M5, we'll install it with navigation command software MK1 and commodity logistics software MK1, and then while already docked at a station, we start the command. That is crucial. You need to start the command while your ship is docked, not in space. Only when it is docked at any station will it hire a pilot to start working. Let's go to the menu. I already have one CLS. Orders. Assuming he is at the station, you just go command console, trade, start internal. Commodity logistics will be highlighted as white and available, not gray. So you enter the menu, and if you have installed everything as you need, you just press enter here or just click it and it will start working for you. Settings, trader settings, very basic. The history, its name, its level, its actual name, final name after it's been handled by the automatic naming of the script, home base, where you've home based it, duration of employment, how much time he has been active, running the script for or working. He's been working for 61 hours, but he's been flying for 41 hours. How many wages he has received for flying? He has received 102,000. How much money he's made? Not a lot, but that's because he is a commodity logistics. He doesn't sell stuff, he just makes sure my factories are keeping up. I don't want him to make me money. Money making is through another means. And expenses, meaning that he had to buy certain things for himself. Could be drones, could be mosquitoes, could be other things as well, like repairs. Delete account information obviously removes all the history from him, and you can start again. You want to monitor something, so delete and you start scratch, and then you see from that point on what he's doing. Take trainings. If you don't have this set to yes, then he will not raise in rank. Sometimes that may be desirable. Maybe you only need him to transport one ware from one supplier to 3 consumers, and you don't need any jump drive. So if that's the case, then there is no reason whatsoever for him to take trainings. He's costing you 0, keep him at that level, and he'll just fly around doing that thing. Perfectly reasonable. Trader salary from station account. Where do you want him to get paid from? Do you want him to get paid from the station he's home based at, or do you want him to get paid from your direct account? Set this to yes if you want him to be paid by the station. Check friend-foe identification. Basically checks your global settings about friend-foe periodically if it's set to yes, and then copies them to his ship. So if for some reason you start the game with the pirates as enemies and then you are friends, by having this set to yes, then at some point, rather quickly, he will find your global settings as friends with pirates and change his own ship to be friends with pirates. Fire trader, basically kick him goodbye. You completely disengage him, you fire him. There is no other way to say it. You fire him. Bye-bye. Reassign trader is for when they are landed. You have this ship landed on a station, and that station also has another ship, and you just tell him to reassign from this ship to another, because training. So that's one way to train people. You have the training M5 if you go my way about doing it, where I choose the cheapest ship instead of anything else. So you have the M5 docked, you have a TS docked, because I want to transfer him to a TS, and then you come to this page, you reassign trader, you select the TS, and he's assigned to the new ship. Any page that has accept changes or restore defaults means that if you make any kind of change in these settings, you need to press accept changes. Otherwise, when you hit escape or you go back with this button, you will lose all the changes you made. I didn't make any changes, so there's no problem me going back. Home base products. When you have selected your home base, then you can select products. I've set ore because he's serving ore. There is no else. If I add a product, all that's left is energy cells, but energy cells for my ore mine is not a product. I should not add it. So just go back and leave it ore. But let's delete that. So let's go product, add product, or what exactly do I want this to be set as? How much will he charge the consumer for moving the ore? Well, it is internal, so I want minimum product price, or manual if I want 0. You could do 0. If you do 0, then your CLS will not make any kind of money. Mine had some hundreds of thousands of credits in income. Wasn't a lot. I wasn't expecting it to be a lot. But why I keep it at minimum product is because I also want my ore mine to have its money retrieved. I don't want my ore mine to stagnate. If I set my ore at 0, then my ore mine doesn't make it, basically gives away not only freely, but it's sponsoring anything else. No, I have my ore mine making something. It needs to make up its money. Minimum price is fine for internal logistics. Minimum price is not making me insane amounts, but it's also not hurting the producer. And that's why I go for minimum, because I need to also sustain the ore mine. If I set it to 0 and my CLS just drains the ore mine always and doesn't have any time to make any money for himself by a CAG or by any other means you want, then basically that station will run dry. It will not have any money to buy any energy. I could also be selling that for just about break-even prices. You can do whatever you want, but minimum price is sufficient for when your CAG for that mine is buying energy cells for minimum energy cell price. And then back. So now it has the product. So let's go through that again, because maybe you just forgotten what I said. Delete it. Product. I want to add product. It's making ore, not energy cells. It's making ore. And I want minimum product price. That's it. It's set. Buy. I can go back. Suppliers and consumers. Delete station list for some reason doesn't work. Don't ask me why, I don't know. But you can go to the consumer, click on it, and it is gone. You cannot do the same with supplier because that's your home base. There is no other way to serve. Who are you gonna serve? You have to serve your home base. So you cannot delete that. How can you set consumer? Add it, click on add. You have the universe view. You can just go typing like you want. AA is Argon Prime for my universe right now, or just zoom out and go to Brand's Triumph if you have something and click on it again. I don't have any, so I cannot. Add consumer, like I said, I can go to Argon Prime, click on it again and select that. That is a consumer. That is acceptable. Now he has consumers. Awesome. That's it for supply consumers. That's so easy. I can obviously put many more, but for one thing, I don't have any other factories, so I cannot do it right now. But you can, from the very start, as I said, have 3 consumers total. Supply conditions. This is extremely important. Top 1. Minimum stored space filled the supplier. That means I do not want you to take any product away from the supplier unless his cargo space for that product is 50% full. So that means unless my ore mine has at least 50% of its ore capacity fulfilled, do not take anything away. The next setting is misleading. It might seem to say that I want to keep it at 10% and only keep it at 10% full. For the consumer, that's not what this says. It's worded incorrectly. What this means is if this much is missing from the stores of the consumer, then it should be served. So for simplicity's sake, let's say that my hub had 100 storage for ore 10% is 10 of that. That's why it's simple. So at 90, it can go as low as 90 for ore and not be served. The minute it goes to 89, your CLS1 will detect that he has dropped below 90 and will go and service him. So remember, this is a deficit. This is off the top. This is from the bottom. 50% capacity filled at the supplier and only higher than that take anything out. 10% missing from the consumer, then go and service him. This you have to consider as an override. If I put any kind of percentage in the freighter cargo bay, it will take precedence over the supplier. First of all, what the percentage means. You cannot click it with mouse apparently, or you can, but you cannot be on the arrows. That's weird. It doesn't go down, it just goes up if I click it. Okay, so what does this mean? The percentage here is based on free space. Remember that your CLS pilot will have drones or mosquitoes or jump fuel. These are not considered part of his cargo bay. For simplicity's sake and for calculations, these goods are taken away from his active cargo bay. The remainder of his cargo bay, after all those operational cargo are counted, is what's considered as the CLS freighter cargo bay. So you can even go as high as 100%, and that means fill out the remaining active cargo bay. It doesn't mean fill it all. If you have a 4,000 capacity TS and you buy 400 E-cells, then that means it's now down to 3,600 capacity. By setting it to 100%, you're not telling it to fill 4,000 capacity of goods, you're telling it to fill 3,600, the active one, the remainder after all the operational cargo has been counted down. Having said that, if you set this at the freighter cargo bay at 100% and leave it there and work like that, and you do have a 4,000 capacity TS, minus the 404 jump fuel, that means that 3,600 cargo can be filled by ore, which is significantly less than 50% of the supplier. Let's examine this a little bit better. How much does the ore mine have? My ore mine has a capacity of 4,160 ore. Half of that, 50%, is 2,080. Multiplied by 8 for volume, that means that I need a cargo space of 16,640. My cargo ship, theoretical, of 3,600 can carry 450 ore. So here's what happens. You have set your CLS to not take any ore unless that storage is half full. You have also set 100% of your cargo freighter for your CLS. What you think is going to happen is that it will wait until the ore storage has reached half size and then take full cargo, which is 450. However, that's not going to happen because the freight cargo bay acts as a priority override. By having 50% of supplier cargo space setting and 100% of that TS setting, what this means is that as soon as the factory has 450 ore available, it will just take it and work. It will completely disregard the 50% setting for the supplier cargo bay. This is not a bug. This is simply a priority setting if you want to work like that. If you want your CLS pilot to always go and service others immediately as a priority, then you set his freighter cargo bay. But if it is important for you to maintain a specific level of cargo in your station, then you just set your CLS freighter cargo bay to off. By being off, you don't say don't fill your cargo space. By being off, you just say I want my supplier to be obeyed. I want to keep 50% here and obey that. That's all you're saying. It will still fill up as much as he can when he has reason to. When both of these are met, both of these conditions are met, he will fill his cargo bay to the max, and you lose basically an opportunity maybe to say I want 30%. Why would you need that? You would need that because of the setting I'm running. I'm running this mine to make money. How I'm doing that? By basically producing and having given it a CAG. The CAG needs material to sell. If the CLS just takes cargo wherever the ore mine goes above 450 and he just sends it to my hub, then my mine doesn't have any ore to sell to make profit. That's why I've set it to off. This will now keep the ore mine filled to 50% so that the CAG has some ore to sell and make money for the factory. Because the CAG is making the money, not that. Although this also is making money, because I have set it to minimum, this minimum again is just for maintenance sake. And it's a good practice to get into as far as I'm concerned, in my humble opinion. Since the CLS is actually charging it at minimum, I could actually just leave it without any CAG and the ore mine would make money. But only as so far as my hub was selling stuff, then I would make money. I would not make as much money from the ore mine itself. So right now I have two sources of income, both the ore mine and the hub, because I have set it up with a CAG and a CLS. Moving on. Fly to supplier only. This is another badly worded translation from the German. Lucike, for those who don't know, is a German coder, or a German scripter, or a German modder, whatever you want to call it. In his original German script, if you were to load the German language files for the script, then you would see something completely different that doesn't say fly to supplier only. That's fine, German is a tough language. This setting is nothing else than to say how to work out where to go, because this gets into the priority of how the suppliers and producers are being serviced at. So let's talk about that for a while. First of all, the producers or the suppliers, they are being visited by the order you have added them, and you add them by going to suppliers and consumers. The order by which the suppliers appear here is the order by which they will be visited. So first that, take whatever product you want from this and move on to the next one. Round robin, go through the whole list and then go top again. This setting, if you set it to no, if you leave it to no, it will keep on doing that round robin processing of suppliers. The no setting here means follow the plan of suppliers as I have laid it out for you. Setting it to yes will mean just visit the most full one first. Means do not follow the plan of suppliers as I have added them. It means go find out which supplier has the most product and go there first. Very crucial to understand that. The text is wrong. It doesn't say what it should. I hope now that's clear. Dock with ship in the same sector. When your CLS1 consumer is a ship, then you have the option of the CLS pilot going all the way to where the ship is currently, or just waiting until that ship is in the same sector as your CLS. If you set this as yes, then when your CLS has a target, has a job for the ship, it knows that ship needs missiles, for example. It doesn't have enough missiles and it should be given missiles. But that ship is also 1 sector away, 2 sectors away, 1,000 sectors away. It will not move. It will wait for that ship to come to the same sector as the CLS pilot and then it will move. If you set to no, it will just go wherever that ship currently is without any regard. If you don't have enough jump fuel set for it, well, it's gonna fly there by going through gates. Wait for request signal is something for player interaction only. The request signal is something you will provide by going to the settings, controls, interface, and all the way to the bottom there is a request signal hotkey. If you press that while being in a ship that is the target of a CLS pilot, then pressing that key signals the CLS pilot to come and service you. Theoretical example. I am on a M7 and I have loads of Tomahawk missiles or whatever missiles are currently worked. I don't know missiles by heart. forgive me if no M7 carries Tomahawks. Let's continue. I want to have always 100 Tomahawks on board. And I've given a CLS pilot the command to resupply me with Tomahawks if my Tomahawks are ever below 50. My stores after a battle go down to 48 Tomahawks. That means that now I am eligible to be serviced by that CLS pilot. But if that pilot has a wait for request signal to yes, he will not come. I have to press Shift F11 for this game right now for him to tell him, yep, it's clear, now you can come and service me. That is relevant again only for the ships I am flying. If it was another M7 that had the same Tomahawk scenario and it was not flown by you, and that dock with ship only in the same sector was set to no, then the moment it fired one missile to bring its total stores to 49, the CLS pilot would just fly to it, or jump, or whatever. Quit working in home base. Again, same as for all Lucike scripts, set it to yes, accept changes, and then the next time it finishes a job, it will just stop working. If you want, again, if you want these settings to apply, then now you have to press accept changes, but I do not. I want to keep it like that. Jump drive settings. Use jump drive, yes, obviously only if you can. So it doesn't matter if I have an apprentice and I set this to yes, it will just be ignored. How much jump drive energy I need, I set it to 400 because I like the number. I just always go for 10% of what total cargo space for its craft. This craft is a 4000 cargo capacity craft, so that's why I set 400. Minimum jump range 0, meaning if you go anytime you want to move and go to a different sector than you are, you jump. If you set it to 1, then if your target sector for the CLS is just one sector over, then it will go through one gate by flying and not jumping. Emergency jump, of course, enabled. And the emergency shield trigger is when its shields are less than 95%, then it will try to jump anywhere close by. I don't know exactly what the logic is where he jumps. He just jumps. I don't care where he jumps, tell you the truth. As long as he's being safe, get the fuck out of there. Be wherever you can. Again, emergency jump only available to those that can have and use jump drives, which is cargo messenger and above. Special equipment. I do want, what type of fighter drones do you want? If you have Fight Command software installed, obviously. If you have Fight Command Software MK1, then this is where you tell them what kind of drones you should get. Choices between Fighter Drone MK2, or Carriers, which is the humankind. Good luck finding those. Do not set it because you're going to be in a world of pain. Quantity of fighter drones, how many he should get? 10 is enough. Landing computer, this is where you set your docking computer. It says landing computer, but the where you're gonna buy is called docking computer. So docking computer activation is of this setting. And this can be activated right from the very first rank. Your apprentice can use this. And please do consider using it, it's amazing. Automatic naming has these options. You can select one of these. CLS1 is always at the front to denote that he is a CLS1, then N for the name of the ship, then TC for training course, meaning it will have an A for apprentice, C for courier, S for supplier, CM for cargo messenger, FA for forwarding agent, and LO for logistician. Jump drive and all these things, ship number, factory number, all of these, select what you want. I always use number 1. In fact, I made a boo-boo when I first created that because I had CLS1 in the title of the minstrel, so then I selected variant 1 and it added another CLS because that part was the name. So by having the CLS minstrel 1 as the name, it then said, okay, that's the name, I'm gonna add the CLS1 and also the rank, which is LO, and that's the name I got, which is stupid. And yeah, I'm not bothered enough now to change it. It looks stupid, but doesn't matter. Keeps reminding me how stupid I am. The ship number you can set for your automatic variant name is here, and factory number is here. So SN and FN, you can set those here. By selecting these variants is going to be where you're gonna have them automatically named. I don't really find a use for that because I don't have an automatic. I would prefer to have it automatically set up. If I select this and I have to come here and select where you're number 2, or no, you're number 1, and for this factory, no, too much. I don't care. I name them myself. Replace sector name by identification. I have no idea what it does. Configure reports. Promotions. Yes, I want to be notified in a message if you get promoted. Yes, I want to be notified by a message if you see enemies. No, I do not want to hear a bing from my game when you send me a message. And yes, I do want you to write on my hard drive what you are doing. The trade log will appear at your C drive. It's C/users, your username, documents, Ecosoft, X3TC. And in there, the trade log is the log 08001.txt. I have no knowledge of where this goes to Max. I do apologize. But the trade log looks something like this. It has all the information about what he is doing, where and how, by when he did it, who it is, his home base, where he's going, who did what, by how much of what, and what he spent. So we see here is an actual load. It doesn't do anything. Refuels doesn't cost anything. Load doesn't cost anything. But when he sells it for 50, he's making a tiny bit of profit to support his factory. And the analysis log will produce another text file in the same folder, only this one is called log 80010.txt. By pressing it and hearing that beep, that means that a new one has been generated, which looks like this. It tells you all the information about the entire script and its logic. It has a wealth of information from his history, ship names, what he's doing, cargo size, what his friendfolk settings are, hardware installed, software installed, everything. What he's doing, conditions, settings, and then him thinking about stuff, what's going on. And of course, data storage is where you save his information and give it a name, and then if you want to replicate him because he's either dead or you want a second one who works exactly the same thing as that one, you just load, select it, and he's off to go. Restore defaults, wipe out everything, and just do, start from scratch. And then start Intel Commodity Logistics, and he's going to work. One last thing I forgot to mention before. I did say how the suppliers or producers are visited, by what logic. I didn't say by what logic the consumers are visited. They are always, and there is no setting for that, they are always going to be visiting by urgency of the request. If you have your setting set to go visit consumers when they are 10% deficient, and you have 3 consumers and one of them is at 11% deficiency, the other is at 15% deficiency, and the other is at 35% deficiency, then CLS Pilot 1 will always go to the 35% deficiency first. He is further away from his goal. And then recalculate. If his trip brought him to 24% and the rest are at 15 and 12, then again he will go to 24. And so on and so forth. Every time he makes a trip, he recalculates who needs what most and will visit them by the order of the most urgent. That's what makes multiple CLSs maybe needed sometimes, especially if you have one massive complex producing so much ore that they have too many things to keep track of. That's all there is for CLS1. He is really maybe the simplest, but also one of the most weird to figure out because of these mistranslations in his settings and the misunderstanding about what the freight cargo bay is doing. Keep in mind that the cargo freight setting is an override. If that is enabled to anything but off, then he will always take that as a priority. He will fly on that setting if he can. He will disregard his supplier's cargo requirement in the setting. But if you want him to work based on the cargo supplier setting, then you need to turn the freight cargo off. And do realize that the flyer to suppliers only should be translated as, should I visit the most full one first? Thank you very much for listening. I hope you learned something. Keep flying and keep safe.